The flag's a little different than someone opening a store. I haven't seen any real resistance about Asian shop owners opening businesses, at least that I've witnessed. I don't care whether they're Asian or white or whatever. I'd like to see better quality shops in many cases, but that's a whole different argument. The flag issue, I think that's a little different. I don't view that as an affront on the Asian community. That shouldn't happen, that act of vandalism. But I know that some of my Asian neighbors didn't like the flag flying on that pole either.
Do you see it as an act of vandalism, that particular one?
I see it as an act of vandalism. I think it's hard to determine whether it's a hate crime or not until you find out the motive of the person that did it.
The police called John last week and said that they would be looking into it as a hate crime, or investigating it as a hate crime, not that they've labeled that. Do you think that that's an appropriate approach to take?
If that's what the police, they're the experts in the field, if they feel that's why they want to investigate it, I guess that's okay. But to call it a hate crime without determining who did it and why that person did it, the motivation, perhaps it was somebody that was that immigrated here that had bad experience with the communist government. I don't know if that happened. Would you call that a hate crime? If it was that person that did it, I wouldn't deem it that. It's still, it's still an act of vandalism. It shouldn't occur, but I think we should wait and see what the investigation brings before we make that judgment.
We can switch gears just a bit, although you did refer to it in terms of the types of businesses or diversity of businesses you'd like to see in the city. Not much has been said about economic development during this campaign. But we have, I think, several issues. One is the whole downtown redevelopment plan that has been ongoing, and the second is the outlying business districts of the city. Do you have any vision or plans on how we would increase jobs, taxable businesses, and or deal with the downtown development in ways that would be different or more aggressive than perhaps this administration, if that's your view?
Mm-hmm. I think we as a city, through the mayor's office, perhaps through the planning directors, perhaps through Quincy 2000, in general has to do a better job, I think, of reaching out to other businesses to come here, to market the city better. I don't think we do that well. I think we talk to each other pretty well, but I don't know that we do that well. And I'm not suggesting we even have to go to Texas, but we're next to the city of Boston. People pay top dollar for rent in Boston. It could be located in Quincy, right next to Boston, with great public transportation, great highway access. I don't know that we do enough to try to steal some of the businesses and tenants from Boston, because we can offer a much lower rate per square foot of rent. Having said that, there's the three big areas that are left. I think that's pretty common knowledge of Crown Colony to be built out, and I think that's good development. That on-ramp that the state's finally funding is a good thing. It will allow us to build it out, and it will keep the traffic out of those neighborhoods in southwest Quincy. I think the city ought to be working hand in hand with Dan Koch on the shipyard. Too often, we as a government react to proposals, react to things. We should be involved with him every step of the way to ensure that we're maximizing the development of the shipyard, both from the viewpoint of are we getting the most for our tax benefit from the land, and secondly, we want to make sure the use is something that doesn't create a negative impact to the neighborhoods that may be surrounding the yard. So that's vital. I'd be wanting to meet with Dan Koch on a regular basis about the future of that yard. That leaves Quincy Center as the last big piece, and I believe we're on the right track with the new district. Happen to serve on the zoning portion of that district to make those recommendations on the changes. I think that's a great step in the right direction. The northern end of the square is pretty good. President's Place, the new apartments that have been built, Monroe Building, etc. But that granite, the School Street section, needs a major shot in the arm. And there's a lot of reasons for the way it is. One is I think we have, much like some of the problem neighborhood houses you have, it's the absentee landlord. I think with many of the buildings in downtown, it's the absentee landlord. I bet some of them haven't visited those buildings in years. It's probably, they send someone out to collect the rent, take the trash out, or fix the plumbing problem.
How do you get to
So
those people?
we've got to get to those people and bring them in, make them part of something bigger. And when I say bigger, a new vision for the Quincy Center area. And we got to bring all those important parties together, landowners, but also our business folks that work hard every day to try to make it. I think of people like the Bob Currys in this community that have tremendous. Everybody wrote Bob Curry off when Home Depot came here. He became one of the most successful guys and went around the country talking about it. But guys like Bob Curry have a lot to offer in this discussion. And we have to reach out to investors and developers and those folks in Boston that may like to see the location in Quincy. And the road comes into play as part of that discussion. But it's a total effort. That Hancock Street stretch between Granite and School Street.
How would you do that? As mayor, Mayor Koch will get elected, it's January. What do you do in terms of economic development, day 2? I'll let you party, Dana.
Day 2 would probably be public safety, but along those
Okay.
lines, bring in those important parties. I want to bring in the leadership of Quincy 2000. I want to bring in our planning director and those folks in the planning department that may or may not be involved in some of these issues. I want to meet with a Tom Flatley. I want to meet with a Dan Koch. I want to meet with the players, those people that have been experienced out there for decades, that know how to get it done. And I want to bring that talent to the table and come up with some kind of a strategy the city could move forward on, whether Q2000 becomes a lead agency on it, or whether we create a different position in the planning department, that sole job is to go out and bring businesses here, go out and market the city, which dovetails into the tourism as well.
I was going to say, how effective do you think that has been? Is there a strong enough or too strong influence out of City Hall into that tourism department?
I do. I think you have to let it go. I think you have to create the vision, you put the agenda forth, build the relationships, and let it go. We can talk a lot about different areas like Quincy College and that, but yes, I think that the dynamics are there for us to take off with the tourism stuff. I think that the part that the mayor plays, even more so, is the day-to-day activity of the condition of the city, the moving of traffic, the signage, the cleanliness, the flowers, the banners. That's the stuff that is very important under your control as mayor, to be sure we're putting on a good presentation for those people that are coming here. And that goes for business or a tourist for that matter.
How do you think we rate right now?
I think it's been spotty. I think we could do a much better job with the cleanliness and the graffiti issue. The banners are getting tired. They've been there for a good 10 years now. The entrances of the city need a major boost. You just can't throw a couple of planters. It's more than that. Whether you could take each of the major entrances, I think we could do a far better job. We have to look at the city from an outside set of eyes, really, to really bring those things to light. When somebody jumps on the train, what are they going to see looking out the train coming into Quincy? When you come in from Bergen Parkway, you come in from Squantum Street, what are you seeing? And then what is the signage that's directing you to places? We take a lot of things for granted because we travel it every day, but I'm not so sure outsiders would have the same ease, because I think it does get a little awkward, and I think we could do a better job. So those are the areas I think as mayor you could do far more.
Does the Koch administration go forward with the concourse?
Yes, absolutely. The Macaulay administration built Bergen Parkway. Goes back to the Hand administration when Walter came up with the whole scheme down at coming off the highway. That was done back when he was mayor. The planning for it, long-term planning. Sheets built the bridge across from Bergen Parkway into the parking way. I think it's absolutely necessary from two viewpoints. One is it's a good transportation project, and secondly, I think it's an economic development issue. My route would be a little different. If it's not set in stone, I'd like to make a couple of minor changes. I am critical on how it's been handled. I don't think the businesses have been dealt with appropriately. I think the communication's been poor. I don't think we've sent a great message to the business community. If you're trying to bring new business in, I don't think the ones we've had here for a long time have been treated real well.